Today on the show, I'd just like to show you some of the things I've got going on here at my home garden. So these are the beds we just looked at 21 years ago. A lot's changed since then. And at that time, I was highlighting a lot of the penstemons that we had planted in this area over here. Well, penstemons don't live that long, even in the wild, maybe 3 to 5 years. So those are all gone. I've got a few planted in my rock garden. We'll take a look at that in a little bit. But a couple of the other plants that we highlighted, the golden false indigo is still alive over here. It's a little bit dormant right now, turning a little bit brown because that's the way some of our natives survive drought. They will go dormant or partially dormant, and that's what's going on with that plant. Another plant I highlighted was this lead plant, and I talked about how it was the first one I've ever grown from seed. It's still hanging in there. It blooms great in the late spring, and since then I've grown thousands from seed, but that was the very first one. So that's kind of a special plant for me. The snow on the mountain, this annual, has been growing in the bed for several years. And this is, of course, a plant in the euphorbia family related to poinsettias and some of those plants. But you can see how it gets its name, snow on the mountain. Imagine a deep falling of snow packed on the top of a green peak there. And you can see how it gets its name, snow on the mountain. Well, back behind me here, 21 years ago, there was this old cedar archway, and it was the entrance to my garden. You can see we've taken it down, we've added the armadillo fence, and we've done a little bit of work since then. And I'd like to show you some of the garden now. Well, I have been on the show a few times since I left back in 2007. And back in 2021, I was highlighting this garden. We had some wattle fences. We were talking about how to build those. And I mentioned that they don't last that long. So after about 4 seasons, we took out the wattles and then we did a vine garden. So we've got these structures with different vines. We've also got lots of plantings at the base here. A lot of people like this ginger. It's sometimes called Siam tulip. That is a tender plant. We'll dig that up, pot it up, take it in the greenhouse for the winter. I like a lot of containers. So if you're in our garden, you're going to see tons of containers grouped together, like right here in the center. We also line them up along the pathway in this part of the garden. Well, as you can see, we also do a lot of raised beds. These beds are, of course, raised with old railroad ties. And in this particular spot, because we like to change things out every year, we've got sort of this color transitioning theme. Up here in the front, we've got lavender colored plants, then it transitions to white, pale yellow, darker yellow, orange, all the way to red down at the very end. But we've got flowering plants, we've got foliage plants, and foliage plants are something that I really like. Every year, we'll take one part of our garden and I'll create a foliage display. That's where we highlight the leaves of the plants and we do a design without any flowers. And that's what we've got going on here with the different sweet potatoes. We've got coleus. We've got just some other green and somewhat silver plants. So the theme is kind of red, black, and green. One of my favorite gardens that I've constructed during the last 21 years is our rock garden. And I'd really like to show that to you. The rock garden we constructed about 11 years ago here on the property, and we were so fortunate that all of this rock was on another part of our property, and all I had to do was rent equipment and bring it in and construct the rock garden. We were so fortunate that last year we actually got featured in the Journal of the North American Rock Garden Society, and it was really exciting for us because people all over the world wanted to see how we created a prairie rock garden. But this has got to be one of my favorite gardens. We planted a lot of plants here. We also planted things that have seeded out. So you see these little Dakota Gold heleniums, the little zinnias, even some of the periwinkles. These things will reseed every year, and all I've got to do is just thin them out. I call it design by elimination. but I absolutely love the rock garden. Well, in the video from 21 years ago, there were 3 beds behind me. They were constructed out of native sandstone as the material to create the raised beds. And you can see those are obviously still here and planted a little thicker now than they were 21 years ago, and like creating new displays in those each year. We have about 1,000 plants that we offer here at the nursery. There are about maybe 100 or so that are exclusive to Bustani Plant Farm. And some of those are our false vervains or stachytarphidas. I've got a collection of them planted in one bed over here. And they're not winter hardy plants, but they are tremendous for attracting butterflies and hummingbirds. Well, thank you so much for coming back to take a look at the garden. I've got a few more beds I want to build in the future. And hey, maybe in 21 years, we can do another update of the garden.
We hope you enjoyed this video as part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on the OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.